Hey guys, Victor here, coming at you again with another deck profile, and for today's video we're going to be doing an updated Dark World list. Now, as far as this Dark World version is concerned, it's basically going to be pretty bare bones, mainly because I wanted to make it so that it's as, not simple, but as easy as possible just to be able to get like the gist of how the deck is going to be played, right? I don't want it to go all balls to the walls like Danger Dark World, and I didn't want it to have like a million different combo lines, such as the Fiendsmith Dark World list. So if you just want to take it to like local, just to be able to just practice with the deck and, just get the bare basics, this is definitely the build for you. So with that out of the way, let's jump right into it. As always, we'll be starting off with the monster lineup first, and the first card we're going to be talking about is, of course, Genta, Gateman of Dark World, which we will be playing at 3, as it's probably the perfect starter in the deck, right? As you just discard it with its own effect, and then you're able to search your deck for any of the copies of the Gates of Dark World that you happen to be playing. And then from there, the Gates is going to be able to start discarding, drawing cards, and just digging you ever so much deeper into your deck until you hopefully have all the resources that you need. And from there, as if that wasn't already good enough, it turns from basically the perfect starter into a phenomenal extender, as well as when this card is banished and you control a face-up Dark World card, which you more than likely will because of the Gates, you're able to special summon this card back. And from there, you can either bounce it back to your hand through the use of cards like Grapha or Reign-beaux, or you can just leave it on the field if you want to use it for like fodder for your Exceed monsters or your Link plays. But point is, this card, it just does so much that you pretty much have to play 3 of it. You do have to be aware, though, that Genta, Gateman of Dark World, can only be special summoned once per turn, and that includes by its own effect, right? But that's a pretty important distinction to have, because that means that if you do end up bringing it back with its own effect, you're not going to be able to special summon them out with any of the other cards that we're playing, like Muckraker from the Underworld, like number 62 Garrus the Timeless, or you can even summon them out from your hand through the use of cards like Saryuja. So you do have to be a little bit careful, because it's very easy to cheat, and we don't advocate that here, all right? We play good, honest Yu-Gi-Oh! But yeah, 3 Genta, gotta play it. Then, for the other 3 monsters, we're playing 3 Reign-beaux Overking of Dark World, which when this one is discarded, just allows us to search our deck for any level 5 or higher Dark World monsters. So this is the one that basically allows you to search out Grapha, Sillva, Gold, or Lucent, whichever one you happen to be playing at the moment. But more important than that, though, is its graveyard effect, where you're able to bounce back any of your face-up Dark World monsters to your hand in order to special summon it back from the graveyard. Now, they do have to be level 7 or lower, which means that you are restricted a little bit, but for the most part, this is going to be one of the primary methods that we use to be able to just replenish our resources and ensure that we can have constant fodder to be able to discard for other effects. So yeah, 3 Reign-beaux, pretty solid. And then for the final 3 of Dark World monster, we're playing 3 Snoww, Unlight of Dark World, which when this one is discarded, just allows us to search our deck for any Dark World card. Really simple, really straightforward stuff, and that's it for the 3 ofs. And then for the 2 ofs, we're playing 2 Grapha, Dragonlord of Dark World. Now, its discard effect is a mandatory pop on the opponent's side of the field, so if we're going first, this card is basically useless, but there are certain situations where you give your opponent a monster in the form of, say, like ceruli, that you'd very much rather avoid, so you do have to be a little bit careful. But as for what Grapha's main use is, much like Reign-beaux, it's able to bounce back any face-up Dark World monster that we control back to our hand to summon itself. However, it doesn't have the level 7 or lower restriction. The only restriction is that you just can't go Grapha for Grapha, but that's perfectly fine, as that means that literally everything else is free reign to just be added back, including the Reign-beaux. And we just enjoy replenishing our hand. Like, it's very important that your hand is always pretty big, so you have ample fodder for whatever you're planning to do. And then for our monster that comes back, we're going to be playing 2 Sillva, Warlord of Dark World. We're playing this one over Lucent and Gold, mainly because we are going to be playing a ceruli. Now, it's not the main purpose of the deck, but I still enjoy looping the opponent's hand away whenever the opportunity presents itself. And I feel like this one just pairs the best with the Fusion Grapha, because it will trigger its secondary effect to loop them. So even if your field is like subpar, as long as you get the Fusion Grapha on the field plus a Sillva in your hand, you can still disrupt your opponent majorly, because those 2 cards could be the difference between winning the game and losing the game. Then for the final Dark World monster, we're playing the 1 Ceruli Guru of Dark World. Like I said, it's not the main focus of this version, but it's still nice to have just in case, because you just discard it, you send it to the opponent, its effect will trigger on their field and then force you to discard, so you'll get all your secondary Dark World effects, and ideally you're going to be discarding Sillva just so that you can force them to loop themselves for 2 cards. And with that, that's the Dark World portion, but we're not quite done yet with all the monsters. So our primary normal summon of choice in this version is actually going to be Tour Guide from the Underworld, as I just feel like it offers a pretty unique dimension, and it is something that you used to see in like all the old Dark World lists from like 2011 and 2012, but it did fall to the wayside. But thanks to some new support that we received in the previous year, I feel like it's pretty impactful to the point where it definitely warrants like at least a consideration to be played. And as for what you're going to be summoning with the tour guide, it's going to be Buio the Dawn's Light, as this card is just, it's so good, right? So even if you draw it, it's perfectly fine because it's an extender that you can just summon by negating a face-up Fiend monster's effect, which, I mean, it doesn't matter because all of our Fiend monsters activate in the graveyard. So it's not even like a real drawback. But when it goes to the graveyard, you're able to search your deck for a spell card called the Mutiny in the Sky, and that's basically a fusion spell that gives us access to so many cards that we normally wouldn't have. And yeah, I don't know. I just really enjoy this engine. I feel like it adds so many new and fun dimensions to the deck that it definitely warrants consideration. And then for the final card of the tour guide engine, we're going to be playing the one Versago the Destroyer. Now, we're not going to be summoning this off a tour guide. Instead, we're going to be playing it as, like, I guess, our Garnet. And what we're typically going to aim to do is we're going to summon the tour guide, we're going to bring out the Buio, and then we're going to link them off into Cherubini. And then Cherubini is going to be able to send the Versago. And we're also going to be able to search out the sorry we're going to be able to search out the Mutiny in the Sky as well to be able to go for a fusion summon guaranteed, as what you're going to be doing is you're going to be essentially chain blocking your opponent, right? So you go chain link 1 Buio, chain link 2 for Cherubini, and then from there you're going to be guaranteed a fusion no matter what. And what you make is basically going to be dependent on what you have in your hand. So yeah, really cool little engine that I feel just enhances the deck a lot. And then we are going to be playing a couple of danger monsters, but they're also not going to be the main focus. We just need a couple of them to basically help us discard every now and then. So it's going to be pretty small. We're just playing one Bigfoot, one Nessie, one Mothman, one Tsuchinoko, and one jackalope. One of each because we don't want to clog on too many. And this pretty much guarantees that we're going to be able to get either one of their effects off no matter what happens throughout the game. And then for the final monster that we're going to be playing, we're going to be taking one Zalamander Catalyzer, and it's basically just like a guaranteed discard for us that provides us with a level 4 body that we can either exceed or link with. And with that, that's the monster lineup, and now we can finally move on to the spell and trap section. Now that we're on the spell and trap section, we're going to be starting off with the only 3 of the list, being 3 the Gates of Darkworld. As we play 3 Genta, it seems like playing 3, this is a no-brainer as well, especially since I just love drawing and discarding cards as often as possible. Now, you will find some people that say playing 3 is a brick, but I mean, like, come on. It's it's pretty much always going to be live, and if it's not, like, your hand was already bad to begin with. So yeah, 3 Gates, gotta play it in my opinion. And then that's it for the 3 ofs, and then for the 2 ofs, we're playing 2 Allure of Darkness, which it's literally just Pot of Greed in this deck because you just draw 2, banish a dark, and we play so many dark monsters that whatever we banish basically doesn't matter in most situations. Now, there are a very few select situations that you're going to be placed in where you don't really want to banish anything, but that's just the risk of the card, and it's far more beneficial than it is disadvantageous in most situations. But yeah, that's it for that, and that's it for the 2 ofs as well. And then we just play a million 1 ofs essentially. And the first card we're going to be talking about is Darkworld Accession, which is the In Archetype Fusion card that allows us to basically just summon any Fiend monster by banishing materials from the graveyard. Or if we're summoning a Darkworld monster, we can discard them from our hand as well. We have 1 Call by the Grave to potentially stop any like devastating hand traps, and that's it for the quick play spells. But we do play a bunch of normal spells as well, as we are going to be playing 1 Triple Tactics Thrust, which, I mean, it's fine, but because the ceruli line isn't really like as prevalent in this build, you're not always going to be able to use it. But you know, it's still just there just in case to be able to search out any of the other cards we have, such as the Dark Corridor, which we are going to be playing at 1, which just adds any Darkworld card and then allows you to discard any card in your hand. 1 Triple Tactics Talent, which is just a phenomenal card, obviously, whenever you get hand trapped or if you're going first or second. We're playing 1 Instant Fusion, which is only going to be summoning out Millenniumizer Strict, which is essentially just like a second copy of Call by the Grave. 1 Card Destruction for the auto win button. 1 Mutiny in the Sky, which we're typically going to be searching off with the Buio. And then lastly, we're playing 1 Foolish Burial in this list, as I just feel like there are so many cards that you want in the graveyard to begin with, right? And this is perfect because it's allows you to basically set it up with very minimal effort, right? So you can send a Buio if you want to add the Mutiny in the Sky. You can send Versago. You can send Grapha or Reign-beaux if you just want those guys set up to be able to start bouncing your Darkworld cards. And there are even some like pretty niche situations where you would want to send something like a ceruli, right? Where you can bring it back with like Muckraker from the Underworld and then just start bouncing it back if you want to start hand looping your opponent. But point is, this card is very flexible with the ways that you can use it, and I love it so much. That's it for the spells. We don't play any traps because traps just don't really function in this deck currently. You very much save them for like the side deck, and what I mean by that is they're essentially just going to be floodgates, like cards such as Skill Drain that pretty much just allow you to make a matchup as lopsided as possible. But yeah, that should be 40 cards in the main deck like always, and now we can finally move on to the extra deck. Now that we're finally on the extra deck portion of the video, we're starting off with the Exceed monsters first, and we're only going to be playing one of them this time, being number 62 Years the Timeless. As we don't care about the boost effect, we very rarely use the special summon effect, but the one that we're always trying to take advantage of is the draw 2 discard one, because that's literally what Dark World does, right? We love drawing, we love discarding. This card is basically a seamless fit. And that's it for the Exceeds, really simple stuff. We don't need anything else. Then for the links, we're going to be playing Cherubini, Ebon Angel of the Burning Abyss, just to be able to unlock Tour Guide's full potential. And I mentioned the play earlier in the video, but just in case you need a refresher, what you're supposed to do is normal summon Tour Guide, bring out the Buio, link them off into the Cherubini, make Buio Chainlink 1, Cherubini Chainlink 2, send Versago for cost. And because it sends for cost, that means that even if your opponent has a Veiler or an Imperm, it won't stop it, and Ash is literally just useless because its effect is to boost attack. But yeah, so you send your Versago, you add your Mutiny in the Sky, and then you have access to whatever fusion monster you want. So yeah, this card just allows us to do so many silly plays. So yeah, seems like a no-brainer, right? And because it's a link 2, that also just allows us to link climb a little bit more easily than we normally would be able to. But yeah, one Cherubini, and then we're also going to be playing one Muckraker from the Underworld, which it's obviously a powerful card, right? You discard any card in your hand to be able to bring back a fiend monster from your graveyard, and it discards as part of the effect, so it will trigger all of your Dark World monsters. But it does have some pretty major downsides, so if you want to summon out the Muckraker, you should probably just hold off until like the end of your combos, because one, it cannot be used as link material the turn that it is link summoned, which is pretty detrimental for a deck that wants to link summon with as many cards as possible. And two, after you bring back a fiend, you're locked into fiends for the rest of this turn, which quite literally cuts you off from a lot of your extra deck and even some of your main deck monsters. So you have to be pretty careful when using the Muckraker card, because like I said, it can limit you quite a bit, but it's still a very powerful card. Then we're also going to be playing one Security Dragon. So because we're playing Tour Guide from the Underworld, making something like a Akashic Magician just isn't very realistic. And instead, we're going to be opting for the Security Dragon because co-linking is just so much easier to accomplish in this deck. And as for what we're going to be bouncing, we're just basically summoning this card out whenever we happen to give the opponent the ceruli, right? So if you're not summoning the ceruli, you're not summoning this, but that's literally all it's there for. Then we're also going to be playing one IP Masquerena, which allows us to go into cards such as the SP Little Knight to just banish a card on the field when it's used with a link material or when it's used with an extra deck monster and just be like a general nuisance after that. The one Nightmare Cerberus to pop cards and allow us to draw if it's co-linked, and the one Nightmare Unicorn to be able to, or by pop cards, I mean special summon monsters. So it doesn't just destroy anything, it has to destroy a special summon monster, and the one Nightmare Unicorn to be able to spin back any card the opponent controls. Now, you have to be aware when it comes to Nightmare Cerberus and Nightmare Unicorn that the discards are part of the cost, so they will not trigger your Dark World cards. Very important thing to take note of, because it does happen quite a bit where people just think, discard, I can trigger anything I want, but no, it's not the case in this deck. That's it for the Link 2s and the Link 3s, and then for the Link 4s, we're playing the one Saryuja Skuldra because it's very easy to just flood the field with monsters, and having a card that says draw 4 and fix your hand is pretty solid. And then all of its other effects are really good as well, because it can special summon monsters from our hand, just to be able to like flood the field with more resources. And every time a monster gets summoned to a zone it points to, it boosts them by 300 attack. So yeah, pretty cool. And then for the final link for it, we have the Abawaku, the Lightless Shadow, which is another phenomenal end board piece that we have access to, as it has two very solid effects, both of which are triggered by discarding a card for cost. So once again, it will not trigger your Dark World cards, but either it's going to be able to pop a card on the opponent's side of the field for us, or it's going to be able to bring back any of our lights or dark monsters from the graveyard. So this deck is quite literally all lights and darks, so you can pretty much bring back whatever you want. And there's a lot of really cute plays that you can make with this by bringing back cards like IP Masquerena, right, to be able to go for another link summon during the opponent's turn. But yeah, it's just another card that we have access to that I figured why not play it, because it really does just add another dimension to the deck. That's it for the links though. And then for the fusions, we have the one Millennium Iser Strike, which is literally just there for the instant fusion to be able to stop hand traps. One Aerial Eater, which is basically Foolish Burial but on legs. One, the Duke of Demise, which gives us an additional normal summon, which does come up pretty frequently, and when it's in the graveyard, you can banish it to add back any level 4 or lower fiend or zombie monster, which we're obviously only adding back fiends, but this is just a phenomenal way of being able to get back cards like Genta to be able to reuse their effects to add the Gates of Dark World. We're playing one Grapha, Dragon Overlord of Dark World as our pseudo Omni Negate, because whenever our opponent decides to activate a normal spell, a normal trap, or a monster effect, we can change that effect to we discard a card instead. So yeah, it's not a real negate, but it's good enough. And then lastly, we have one Chlorless Chaos King of Darkworld, which we basically just make to nuke the entire opponent's board, which because we play Versago, we can make this very easily. And with that, that's the basic Darkworld list. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, please feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll catch you guys next time. See ya!